Now perfectly I know what UPSC is. Please raise your hand. Very few. So the major problem is, let's say if you are 600 students, 6 or 10 students know what we are talking about. So this session is considering you are the future leaders of the country. You might be exploring many engineering courses, many engineering jobs for your career. Here it was a request to look at this presentation and somewhere add UPSC also as your career path. So these are the ranks which you can please visit our talent partner website, and you can visit their YouTube channel where you can listen to the toppers talk. That will really help you. The agenda of this seminar is Unlocking UPSC Insights and Awareness for Future Leaders. Somebody who knows UPSC, somebody who is sitting in the front row, who are from Pragnya IAS, they know how sentimental this wall is of UPSC. It is every aspirant's dream to stand in front of it, take a picture when they are attending their interview. Okay? So moving on to the next slide. UPSC is Union Public Service Commission. It is a commission where, in short, it is conducting various examinations to gather the cream layer of the nation and fill the appropriate positions in the government. In that, civil services examination is one examination. You have forest services, you have engineering services, you have medical services, and so on. Today we will majorly discuss about the civil services examination conducted for various cadres. These cadres are divided into All India services and central services. For example, All India services are IAS, IPS and so on. Central services are you have railway services, you have income tax and all jobs. Okay, so these differentiation you have to understand. Moving on to the next slide. In IAS, so we keep hearing that IAS officer is coming, IAS is here and there. What do their designation look like? So they be at district collector, chief secretary of the state, cabinet secretary of the government. I mean, it is the top cadre. So you can please, after this seminar, go back and check what do a cabinet secretary of India does, what is his roles and responsibilities, so that you'll understand the examination better. Coming to IPS, so IAS is more into administrative services of the government. IPS is more into the internal security of the nation. So students who are preparing for IAS, IPS, somebody gets into IPS, these designations look like District Police Chief, Director General of Police or National Security Advisor. So there are different cadres in the state, in the nation, where depending on your requirement and government requirement, the cadres are allotted. Moving on to the next slide. The eligibility criteria. For any government exam, especially the civil services examination, you need to have a bachelor's degree from a college which is government recognized. The civil services examination can be written as early as 21 years old. So you reach your 21 years old, you can start to write the examination. There are so many toppers who have cleared it at 22, at 23, at 24. You can go up to 32 years old. This is for general category. For SC, ST, additional 5 years relaxation is given. For OBC candidates, additional 3 years relaxation is given. Coming to the number of attempts, general category students can give 6 attempts in this time period. OBC category students can give 9 attempts, and SC, ST students have no limit, but the upper age limit is a criteria. Moving on to the next slide, application comes in the month of February. It is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is preliminary examination, which is objective in nature. The second stage is mains exam, which is descriptive in nature. And the third exam is personality test, where what all we are talking about, IAS officer have a checklist. There are few traits which are to be there. Everything will be tested over these 3 parameters. Now, in the prelims, we'll discuss further about the paper pattern and all. For your idea, don't go deep into academics at this point of time. Just get familiar with what are the subjects, how different is it from the current path and all. Just understand that. Moving on to the next slide. So, preliminary examination, It is usually conducted in the last week of May or the first week of June. It has two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is called as, paper 1 is General Studies 1, it is cut-off based. Paper 2 is named CSAT, which is Civil Services Aptitude Test. Moving on to the next slide, I'll explain it better. So you can see there are two papers. The type is objective both. Number of questions are given, total marks are given, total duration is given. In these two papers, the first paper is to be scored where it gives you a nice eligibility for the mains. The second paper is just qualifying in nature where you have to secure 33% of the marks. Is it clear? Moving on to the next slide. The subjects for preliminary examination which overall you will touch is history, Indian history, art and culture of India, world history, geography, physical, human, Indian and world, polity, Indian economy, ecology and environment, general science, current affairs and all. So these subjects are there, but what makes UPSC tougher? Because UPSC board expects you to be not static, dynamic. How many of you read newspaper rigorously every single day in the morning? Can you raise your hands? Previous slide only. So, when we are talking about Indian economy, UPSC expects you to study the theories of Indian economy and map it with current affairs. Okay? So, to make your journey easier, you have to start reading newspaper every single day. That's the first and foremost step of UPSC preparation. Moving on to the next slide. This is mains examination. In mains examination, you have two language papers. English is compulsory and you have to pick up any one Indian language. This is also qualifying in nature. So 25% is to be scored for you to qualify here. Essay, you have to write an essay. There are thematic essays, there are philosophical essays, the genres are different. You will have to write one essay. You will have two papers though. 4 general studies paper are there which we will discuss. This 4 general studies paper will give you an overview of what are the depth of the subject. So we are talking about, let's say, Indian economy. Few topics might be exclusive for mains. They are not much important for prelims. They are very important for mains. So there is a combination of the syllabus and usually an IAS aspirant take at least 1 month time to internalize the syllabus. So it is not, if you are not understanding few things, that's fine. Coming to optional subject, it is more deeper into academics which has to be decided after 6 months of coaching. Moving to the next slide. So as I discussed, there are GS 4 papers. The first paper deals with India, heritage and culture. Is it converted to PDF to other folder? It changed. Okay, fine. So we are talking about art and culture of India, geography, world and India, Indian society, modern history, world and India. This is something which is there in GS paper 1. Moving to the second paper, we are talking about governance. So in prelims, you heard a subject called as polity. So polity's extension is governance. So we are talking about governance, we are talking about constitution and polity here, we are talking about international relations, current affairs is very important here also, social justice. Moving on to the next slide, GS paper 3 comprises of economic development, science and technology, disaster management, security and environment. If you see the nature of the paper here, UPSC expects you to be an all-rounder. You can't only stick to history and you feel like I only want history. You need to have idea about everything. Moving on to the next slide. This is paper 4 which is dealing with ethics and integrity. So there will be case studies given where all the subject knowledge, everything is there, but cases will be given where out of your intelligence, out of your integrity, aptitude level, how are you properly getting out of the situation. So these assessments will be done in the case study here. Moving on to the next slide. The final round, the personality assessment. You listen to any interview of a UPSC chairman to any ranker, the first thing they will tell is UPSC examination, especially civil services examination, is not a examination, it is a lifestyle change. How do you wake up in the morning? How do you prioritize your day? How do you plan? How do you execute? What is important in a day? What is not? So, unless you don't change yourself appropriately, you will not be able to reach up to the mark. So, the personality assessment, when a candidate who have cleared prelims, mains are sitting in an interview, these are the criteria which are tested on. Personality traits like leadership, integrity, ethical judgment, communication, composure under pressure. Current affairs and general knowledge will be tested. Usually, the last 2 years current affairs is important, but previous years also significant current affairs you should be aware of. You should be able to talk something for which newspaper reading is very important. The next is administrative awareness, ethical and moral understanding. This happens once you read all the subjects which I mentioned. Okay, this is not something which you are doing a separate course for it. The subjects which you studied, if you study it properly, take the content appropriately into your heart and mind, this becomes easier. Moving on to the next slide, the continuation of it, regional and cultural awareness. If you say, hi sir, I am from Telangana, expect questions from Telangana. Maybe the dance form, maybe the slang form, whatever, you can expect the questions from Telangana, India. So, you can already predict 50% of the questions what an interviewer is going to ask you. If you take a pen and paper today, let's say I have seen that your placement drive is happening, right? If you actually sit down and take a paper and write down that what could be the questions this guy is going to ask me, 50% of interview is already done. The same applies here also. So, personal interest. How many of you here, you have to self-check. I want to talk to you about you other than academics for 1 hour. What content are you giving us? What hobbies do you have? Other than dancing, singing, cooking. You can't mention this in today's time CV. Other than this, what have you done? Who are you? Okay, this procurement is very important. Problem solving. So, ultimately they are checking for leadership potential, decision making ability, ethics, overall suitability to give you a post of an IAS, post that they are anyhow going to train you for 1 long year. They will invest, they will give you salary and they will train you for 1 long year. They are only trying to check what is your intention, what is your capacity, are you a good raw material or not.
Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe to Pragnya IAS.